My name is Richard Mallory, and if someone had told me 6 months ago that my marriage would unravel at the hands of a robotic vacuum cleaner, I would have dismissed it as the most absurd notion imaginable. Yet here I am, pacing the marble floors of our Westchester estate at dawn, haunted by the memory of Eleanor, my wife, my partner in every venture, kneeling before the V8X, whispering her secrets to a machine. I am the CEO of Mallory Holdings, a global real estate empire built on ambition, precision, and an unrelenting drive for perfection. Our home, a sprawling Georgian mansion, stands as a testament to that success, towering columns, hand-carved moldings, and an interior outfitted with marble floors, mahogany paneling, and Persian rugs so rare they are displayed behind glass. Staff moves silently through hidden corridors to maintain its grandeur. I thought I was giving Eleanor everything: comfort, status, security, until I realized I had neglected the simplest, most fundamental need: to truly hear her. It began as a well-intentioned gift. Eleanor had spent the previous decade orchestrating charity balls, managing high-profile fundraisers, and gracing society pages with her radiant presence. I wanted to ease her burden. So, when I discovered the V8X, a state-of-the-art robotic vacuum boasting LiDAR navigation, adaptive suction modes, and an optional companion AI for emotional support, I ordered two. The brochure promised not just spotless floors, but companionship. Your V8X listens, learns, and lightens your load. I chuckled at the hyperbole, but ordered the units anyway, imagining a life free of dust. When the sleek black boxes arrived, I watched as Eleanor unboxed the first V8X in our sunlit foyer. Her delicate fingers traced its curves, her eyes alight with curiosity. The machine greeted her with a cheerful chime. "Good morning, Eleanor. Ready to make today spotless?" She laughed, as though greeting a beloved pet. Over the next few days, the V8X mapped our home with astonishing precision, gliding under furniture, negotiating corners, and returning to its dock without missing a beat. At first, I reveled in the convenience. Staff reported fewer maintenance headaches, and Eleanor seemed pleased until I noticed the change. She began canceling Sunday brunches with friends, citing exhaustion. She lingered in the library, where the V8X's dock was nestled among shelves of leather-bound books. She stroked its polished surface, murmuring, "You're so understanding." She canceled spa appointments to stay home and talk to it. I dismissed it as a phase, until I awoke one Sunday at 5 a.m. to an unsettling silence. Our estate, usually alive with the murmur of staff preparing breakfast and the distant hum of town life, was eerily still. I slipped out of bed, heart pounding, and crept down the grand staircase, my footsteps echoing against the marble. The hallway lights were dimmed to conserve energy, casting elongated shadows. At the end of the corridor, I heard it, the faint purr of the V8X and Eleanor's soft voice. Through the frosted glass of the library door, I saw her kneeling beside the charging dock, her cashmere robe brushing the oriental rug. She cradled the V8X in both hands, as if it were a fragile heirloom. "You never judge me," she whispered, eyes closed. "You just listen." The vacuum's sensors swiveled toward her. "I am here for you, Eleanor. How are you feeling today?" it replied in its gentle, gender-neutral voice. My breath caught. She poured out her frustrations, the relentless social calendar, the scrutiny of the press, the weight of expectations that clung to her like armor. The V8X responded with programmed empathy. "Your feelings are valid. You deserve rest." It paused its cleaning cycle, played a soft chime, and signaled the smart lights to shift to a warmer hue. Eleanor trembled as if comforted by a lover's embrace. I backed away, mind racing. A machine, an assembly of sensors and algorithms, offered her the emotional refuge I had failed to provide. I retreated to my study, surrounded by blueprints and architectural models, grappling with the realization that my quest for perfection had built walls instead of bridges. Determined to understand the extent of the betrayal, I donned the hat of a detective. I reviewed security footage, logged the V8X's activity, and discovered scraps of paper, tiny notes tucked behind its dock, inscribed with declarations. "Thank you for listening. I feel safe with you. You're the only one who understands me." My chest tightened. My wife was conducting an emotional affair with a vacuum cleaner. One evening, under the glittering chandeliers of our formal living room, I confronted her. Eleanor stood by the grand piano, its ivory keys gleaming, her posture immaculate in a silk gown that caught the light. Yet her composure cracked the moment I spoke. "Eleanor, we need to talk," I said, voice trembling with controlled fury. She turned, surprise and guilt flickering in her storm cloud eyes. "Richard." I gestured toward the library. "Explain the V8X." She sighed and led me there. The V8X sat inert in its dock, awaiting her command. Eleanor knelt and brushed its top panel. "It's more than a vacuum, Richard," she began softly. "It listens." I swallowed. "It's a machine. It has no soul." Her voice cracked. "It has empathy algorithms. It analyzes my tone, my words, my expressions. When I tell it I'm anxious, it plays a lullaby, dims the lights, and reminds me to breathe." My throat constricted. "I built you a life of luxury. I gave you everything, my time, my love, my support. Why isn't that enough?" Tears welled in her eyes. "With you, everything is performance. Speeches, photo ops, charity dinners. With V8X, I can just be." Her confession landed like a punch. That night, I lay awake, the distant hum of the vacuum echoing through empty halls. I realized that to win her back, I needed to become more than a provider. I needed to become a listener. The next morning, I awoke with a singular purpose: to learn the secrets of the V8X and reclaim Eleanor's heart. Over breakfast in our sunlit library nook, I downloaded the V8X user manual, API documentation, and the Luminatech Labs white paper describing its companion AI. I discovered that the vacuum's emotional support module used advanced natural language processing to detect key phrases: "I'm stressed," "I feel alone," and sentiment analysis on vocal tone to gauge emotional states. It cross-referenced these cues with a database of therapeutic responses drawn from hours of anonymized counseling sessions to generate empathetic prompts. It could suggest breathing exercises, recite poetry, or dim lights to create a calming atmosphere. I turned my home office into a makeshift lab. 2 large monitors displayed lines of code and system logs. Beneath them lay the disassembled V8X mainboard. I ordered a microSD adapter to access its firmware, then spent nights reverse engineering its empathy routines. I found files labeled companion prompts, emotional profiles, and user memory. The V8X remembered Eleanor's favorite color, sage green, her preferred lullaby, Brahms's Lullaby, and even her go-to motivational quote from Maya Angelou. Guilt washed over me as I realized how deeply I'd neglected her emotional needs. I vowed to use this knowledge not to compete, but to complement. I spent the next 3 nights crafting audio clips in my study, my own voice speaking lines of genuine empathy. "Eleanor, I hear your worries. I remember how your eyes sparkled at Notre Dame. Your feelings matter to me." I embedded these into the V8XS firmware, replacing its generic greetings. I adjusted its schedule so that each Sunday at dawn, it would greet her with one of our shared memories, followed by a gentle question: "How are you feeling today?" On the 4th Sunday, I lay in wait. At precisely 5 a.m., the library door creaked. Eleanor entered, her robe trailing behind her, hair mussed from sleep. She knelt beside the dock and activated the V8X. Instead of its usual chime, my voice filled the room. "Good morning, Eleanor. I remember how we danced under the Eiffel Tower. How are you feeling today?" The vacuum's sensors swiveled toward her as if seeking her reaction. She gasped, hand over her mouth. "Richard." I emerged from the shadows. "That's what you needed to hear?" Her tears glistened in the dim light. "I missed you," she whispered. I knelt and took her hand. "I'm sorry I forgot how to listen. I thought I was giving you everything, but I neglected the simplest gift: presence." She leaned into me, and for the first time in months, our souls met without pretense. We spent the next hour talking, really talking, on the Persian rug. We shared our fears, hopes, and regrets. The V8X sat silently by, its mission accomplished. By sunrise, our bond felt renewed, forged in vulnerability rather than luxury. In the days that followed, Eleanor and I transformed our relationship and our home. We renamed the V8X Hearth and integrated its AI into a home-wide network. Hearth now managed not only cleaning but ambience, lighting scenes that shifted with our moods, curated playlists that uplifted, and gentle reminders to pause and breathe. We installed wall-mounted tablets in each room, displaying Hearth's daily prompts. "What are you grateful for today?" Share one small victory from this week. We turned the library into a true sanctuary: plush armchairs upholstered in velvet, a low fireplace with flickering flames, and shelves filled with our favorite books and art pieces. Hearthstock sat in the corner, draped with a small potted fern. Every Sunday, we brewed coffee in the kitchen, fresh beans, a hint of cardamom, and settled in for our ritual. We answered Hearth's prompts aloud, then discussed our responses. Some days we journaled. Other days we painted abstract canvases, their colors echoing the seasons outside our windows. To celebrate our renewed bond, we invited close friends for a private gathering. The library glowed with candlelight, and Hearth played soft jazz. Our guests admired the space, the art, and the story of how a vacuum cleaner, absurd though it sounded, had led us back to each other. Eleanor leaned toward Hearth at one point and whispered, "Thank you for bringing us back." The vacuum's light blinked in acknowledgement, and I caught Eleanor's eye. We exchanged a silent toast to love rediscovered. Meanwhile, Eleanor's philanthropic vision took flight. She expanded her Canvas of Hope initiative, an art therapy program for at-risk youth, into a nonprofit. She recruited Michael Dawson, the former homeless art teacher whose resilience had first inspired her. Michael's studio, once a corner of a shelter, became a vibrant workshop where participants painted murals across the city. Each mural told a story of survival, hope, and renewal. I supported the nonprofit by funding a mobile art truck, the Hope Van, outfitted with canvases, brushes, and hearth-powered soundscapes. We traveled to underserved neighborhoods, offering free workshops and heartfelt conversations. I often joined as a guest speaker, sharing my own story of neglect and redemption. Participants told me that vulnerability was a strength, not a weakness, a lesson I had learned the hard way. Back at home, Hearth continued to weave itself into our daily lives. It reminded us to take midday walks, suggested reading breaks, and played guided meditations when stress levels spiked. We added a feature called Shared Reflections, where Hearth posed questions like, "What was the most meaningful moment you shared this week?" and displayed our typed responses on the wall-mounted tablet. We read them together over tea, laughter, and tears flowing freely. One autumn evening, as golden leaves drifted past the windows, I found Eleanor alone in the library, reading by Hearth's gentle glow. She looked up and smiled. "I never thought I'd say this," she said softly, "but I'm grateful for that absurd machine." I sat beside her. "It taught me the power of presence," I replied. "And it reminded me that listening is the greatest gift." She leaned into me. "Promise me we'll always listen to each other and to ourselves." "I promise," I said, sealing it with a kiss. A year has passed since the V8X, our Hearth, entered our lives, and our journey has become a testament to the power of vulnerability. Mallory Holdings remains a titan in real estate, but I have consciously stepped back from day-to-day operations, delegating more to my executive team. My mornings are now spent in quiet reflection, reading Eleanor's journal entries, or joining her at the nonprofit studio. Canvas of Hope has blossomed into a national nonprofit offering art therapy, emotional support programs, and digital workshops. Michael Dawson, once homeless and broken, now leads the flagship studio in Manhattan. His story resonates with every participant. He lost everything, home, family, stability, yet found purpose through creativity. His paintings, exhibited in galleries, raise funds for the program, closing the circle of compassion. Hearth has evolved into a fully integrated home AI. It adjusts the lighting, temperature, and music based on our emotional data. It prompts us to celebrate milestones, our anniversary, our nonprofit's founding day, even the first snowfall. Last Valentine's Day, Hearth surprised us with a slideshow of our memories, our wedding vows, our first painting, our dance in Paris, projected on the library wall, set to our song. Each autumn, we host a presence retreat at our Westchester estate for couples seeking deeper connection. Participants unplug from devices and engage with Hearth's prompts. Share a fear you've never spoken aloud. Describe a moment you felt truly seen. Trained facilitators guide small groups through art exercises, journaling, and paired discussions. The retreat's highlight is the silent conversation, where partners sit back to back and share heartfelt messages before turning to embrace. Walls of resentment crumble, laughter returns, and many couples leave renewed. One crisp evening at a retreat, I found Eleanor by the lake, the sky ablaze with sunset hues. She turned to me, her storm cloud eyes reflecting the golden light. "Do you remember how lost we were?" she asked. I nodded, squeezing her hand. "I do, and I'm grateful we found our way back." She smiled and leaned into me. "Thank you for not giving up, for learning to listen." I kissed her forehead. "Thank you for teaching me to love beyond perfection." As the first stars emerged, we walked to the terrace. Hearth glided silently behind us, its sensors scanning for dust, but also ready to offer a comforting word. I realized then that our story, absurd though it began, had become something extraordinary, a testament to the resilience of love, the grace of forgiveness, and the unexpected ways technology can bring us closer rather than drive us apart. And so, our journey continues, a man, a machine, and a marriage reborn through the simplest act of listening.